We have Coach Silverfield with us. Again, thanks for joining us again, you folks in the media, you folks that are following on Zoom. Schedule for the remainder of the day, 2 o'clock, our Beale Street Parade gets underway. 3:30, the Bash on Bill Pep Rally in Handy Park. Tonight, 6:30, the festivities over at the Peabody with the President's Gala. The legendary Memphis group, the Barkays, will be the entertainment there. And then we get to tomorrow, and full day of activities leading up to the 2:30 kick for the 65th AutoZone Liberty Bowl. But for now, we have Coach Ryan Silverfield making his first appearance as head coach in the AutoZone Liberty Bowl. He has coached in our game previously at other places. Before we get your opening comment and then questions, Coach, one of our traditions is the following questions. Number one, and obviously it's different because of the local dynamics, but we want to have you on the record, as we were with Coach Campbell this morning. Old Elvis or young Elvis? What's your preference?
I mean, I gotta go with young Elvis. Obviously, I've been very fortunate to going on my 9th year here in this great city of Memphis and try to study the history, obviously, of Elvis and his life. And a lot of people, especially this newer generation, maybe saw the movie, but to be able to go to Graceland numerous times and to actually pay homage to obviously a legend and what he was able to do not only in life but obviously in music. And so always been appreciative of everything he did, and obviously the touch he had not only on this world but our great city. So I'll go with young Elvis, but obviously as he became older and older and went through some trials and tribulations of life, he still sang some good songs.
Barbecue, obviously a big topic in our community always. Wet ribs, dry ribs, a little of both. Preference and why?
Well, if you look at my waistline, you're going to say, obviously, he likes all types of barbecue. So I actually prefer wet ribs, but there are places in town. We've got so many great barbecue places that I think I've got my preference right. I've got my spot, and I've got to be careful because of who sponsors are throwing out names and who's with everything that's associated with this. But there's certain places I go, okay, I'm going to go get dry ribs at this place. All right, I'm going to go get wet ribs at this place. And then there's other places, hey, I'm going to get brisket here. But so there's a lot of great barbecue options, as we well know, and our players partake in it as well. But I usually try to keep up with them. But wet ribs when it's all said and done.
And final thing, big picture about the bowl week, obviously a unique experience when you're playing in your hometown. But what's the bowl experience with the AutoZone Liberty Bowl been like for your football team this week?
Yeah, absolutely phenomenal. I mean, the opportunity to play at home is tremendous. And we've always had so much respect for this bowl, and it to be the 65th AutoZone Liberty Bowl is just an absolute tremendous honor. And so our guys have really enjoyed this week and even the time leading up to it. There was great excitement. We had the opportunity to find out, hey, the challenge of what you get to face in a great Iowa State team and to play in this bowl game. And, the city obviously is a gracious host to us. The people at the Sheridan were such been gracious hosts there, our home hotel. And then obviously the bowl and what you guys have been able to do for us, Harold, and all your people have been absolutely tremendous. And we've really enjoyed this week. Obviously, as we get closer and closer, about 26 hours away from kickoff, our focus is turning on to the opponent on the field and ready to go.
Other than that, any other opening statement you want to make?
No, look, this has been absolutely tremendous. This is my 3rd AutoZone Liberty Bowl, and we truly don't take it for granted because we couldn't be more honored and privileged to be able to play here in our great city. And our players are excited about that. And we know our fans are going to turn out in tremendous aspect. 9-3 on the year, the opportunity to get a 10th win means a lot to us and, go down in history currently. Only 10 teams in the 108 years of Memphis football program have even won 9 games. So we know what a bowl win would mean for the history of our football program, put us in the top 5 wins in program history. But, just again, to be able to play in this bowl game and the tradition and what it stands for. And we've even talked, at great lengths, Steve Earhart talked to our team about, the meaning of liberty and what it means in the bowl game and those that have served. And we're just so grateful. And man, it's just so proud and pleased to be able to sit up here and represent the people of the 901, our great university, our great community.
We have a mic to be passed for questions. We'll start right here, second row.
Coach, you've talked before about the young guys and how important the bowl stuff is, and that's really one of the big reasons, right? Is giving young guys a chance. Who are maybe some of the young guys that have really stood out and kind of stepped up for this opportunity in the bowl?
Well, I think one of the things that we've seen and all throughout college football, and I don't want to go into opt-outs and transfer portal, but that's the nature of this, right? You always get that extra month. I mean, it's been over a full month since we played our last game. And so we weren't practicing the whole time, but the preparation is key. We've been able to see a guy like Malachi Braylon is a name that Tiger fans probably don't know. He's going to get a lot of playing time tomorrow up front for us with the offensive line. We've got a lot of other guys that are having to step up and fill voids and fill needs. And so we're kind of excited about that. We had some guys that were later on, a guy like Jay Ducker that was redshirting this season, but now with the new bowl rule, right? Maybe he's going to be able to help us out on special teams. So I think we're just going to be able to see some guys be able to step up and give opportunities to those that's playing time wasn't, put on the spotlight earlier in the season, and that they're going to have the opportunities to go out there and shine at a high level. And just, it's great. Plus, we know that the hard work that those vets have put in, and I think just another few weeks of preparation and practice, even before we knew our opponent, is just huge. And it's what I love about this team, and not to get sidetracked off the question, but just them being around each other. It's been so much fun. You guys have heard me say this since August, and this is a special group and a group that cares about each other. And I think that's been huge because, man, they've enjoyed it. I don't care if we're at Dave and Buster's or out at a 2-hour practice. They enjoy being around each other. They enjoy the work. They enjoy the meaningful opportunities to spend more time amongst each other. And as the head coach, it just makes you so darn happy because it means the culture that these young men have helped create and build has been tremendous.
Speaking of the offensive line, how big is it to have a guy like Jacob Likes to play in this game before he moves on?
And obviously you guys have heard me, gush about Jacob Likes when I've had the opportunity to talk about him. He's a young man that, even as the offensive line coach, recruited out of high school, and I've known him now for many years. I believe I've known him almost 7 years, not to get in trouble with compliance and recruiting rules, but I've known him for a long time. And I vividly remember the day he committed, exactly where I was on my back porch at the time, living in Collierville. And I remember the call, and I was thrilled. And then I remember, him playing in the All-Star game and hurting his knee. And I remember just his graduation from high school and how he's grown as a Memphis Tiger and what he's done for our offensive line and what he's meant to this football team and this community. And then for his last college football game of his entire career to be able to play one more time at home in such a meaningful ball game. He's one of those, we've got Memphis young men on our team, from the 901. They've always taken great pride in playing at home. He's one of those who was in the stands so much as a kid, right? That was always cheering on the Tigers. And then for him, what a great way to end his college career. And so he couldn't be more thrilled. He had a smile on his face, but with some glassy eyes as today as we were going out there for practice, saying, wow, this is really the last collegiate practice. But, for me, those are the people who make this thing so special. And Jacob Likes mean everything to this program and obviously tremendous to this offensive line.
How big is that continuity at that position? You talk about a quarterback like Seth, who once was a young quarterback coming in.
Yeah, you think about that center position, right? And as Seth was a 17-year-old quarterback coming in, having that veteran center that had already been there and that helped Seth's growth has been tremendous. I think, they both kind of grew in this program together. Obviously, Jacob a little bit older in age, but I think that was tremendous, right? Anytime you're a young quarterback, you can rely on a center that's smart and tough, that's been through it. It makes everything a little bit easier. I think that helped with the growing pains of a young quarterback in Seth Hennigan. So, having Jacob Likes as a mainstay at that center position, it has been phenomenal. We know he handles the offensive line. He's been the leader of that group for a few years now. And I think, we always talk about the quarterback makes the offense go. We've got, some star wide receivers and running backs have been phenomenal. But I think you look back and say, okay, man, what's the catalyst behind all this? And, I think without question, a lot of people sit there and say Jacob Likes is making this thing go.
Coach, right here. On the flip side of that, Jalen Allen, another senior who has declared for the draft but will play in this game. What has it been like to have two, talk about him, but what has it been like to have two mainstays on either side of the ball? And what does it say about how those guys feel about your program to, take the risk of playing in the bowl game?
Yeah, you think that I've known for a long time. And And, you know, just remember his recruiting process and had great conversations with his family and the growth of him, right? I always tell him he came in as a immature freshman. He's just grown and just so pleased. Not only has he grown as a young man, but obviously a tremendous football player and his leadership, right? He's the vocal leader of our team. I think fans get to see the passion and enthusiasm he plays with. And that's been so much fun to watch over the years and watch his growth, you know, and I think for him, you know, the ability to do it one more time, he wouldn't have it any other way to go out there. Hopefully all of our young men that are playing their last college football game have the opportunity to play at the next level, whatever that may look like. But we know that's not guaranteed. And for a lot of these guys, you know, for a lot of these seniors, today was the last practice they'll ever have. And for some of them, tomorrow is the last time they'll be able to wear a helmet. You know, as a defensive guy like Jalen Allen, I hope he gets to play a lot more football. But for some of our guys, that's the last time you can legally run up and hit a guy, you know. And so I tell them to enjoy it and have fun and remember this opportunity, especially all at stake. And obviously, Jalen Allen's been a guy that's, you know, he'll go down in history as one of our greats and even more so a tremendous leader in person.
And then I know you're hoping for a big win and a drama-free win as a head coach, but you guys have been in so many close games, shootouts this year. If you get into a situation like that tomorrow, how much confidence do you have that your team is going to be, you know, resilient and pull that out?
Yeah, I wouldn't know anything else other than drama, right? I mean, that's college football. It's I'll take as many drama wins as we can as long as they end up on the right side. You know, if they ask us to play 7 overtimes, let's go. Now I know how this thing works, but we do have great confidence because I think this year we've touched almost every element that could occur, right? From come from behind wins to the 2-minute drive, from you know, having to do a 4-minute offense to try a way to shut down the game, to making the defense stop at the end, to a variety of different ways. Overtime. I think we've touched all the situations, which will be great because then we'll be really prepared for spring and next training camp because we can just say, hey, let's just repeat what occurred in this game. But it gives you confidence because you guys have been through it. And regardless of what happens tomorrow, whether it's the opening kickoff or somewhere in the fourth quarter, there's ups and downs in the ebbs and flows of college football game. And I tell our guys all the time, they've got to be steadfast in their approach, their mindset, and their focus. And 18 to 23-year-olds, it's hard for them to focus on anything. But during the, you know, the emotions of a game that can occur, we talk about all the time that we can't let the emotions play with us. And, you know, we see it all the time. Hey, the momentum, you know, get let out, or well, the momentum swings. Reality, we've got to keep the blinders on for all 4 quarters, however long they ask us to play, and keep that that mindset there. But there's going to be ups and downs tomorrow. I can promise you that. And but we'll have confidence because I think we've been through so much of it, and it speaks volumes to the type of guys we have in our locker room.
Just in terms of the preparation for this game, I know you're going to be on the other sideline, right? You've been able to practice at your usual facility, so it's kind of like back and forth with neutral site game, home game. Just what has that been like, and how do you prepare guys when a lot of stuff is going to be familiar, but then, you know, you're going to get to the stadium, you're going to walk in a different way, things like that?
Yeah, I think one, I'm going to talk to him about it tonight. I have not gone into great depths. Our staff understands it. You know, I think the biggest thing obviously is we will have our locker room. I think that would be a little bit different if we were not. But there'll be some uniqueness, just like there is to any game. Even some of our home games have always been different. But we'll talk about it tonight in a meeting here in a few hours, and just, hey, this is how we're going to walk on the title walk. When we take the field, this is how the L is going to be shaped. This is our sideline. And the good news is they've had to prepare that every away game for something different, and this will be no different. You know, we try to treat this as a bowl game and as an away game to the best of our ability. We are obviously excited. We're playing the city of Memphis, but there will be some new things for us tomorrow, and it's my job to just make sure, hey, they understand this is what it's going to be like. Hopefully, not hopefully, the sun's going to be shining very bright tomorrow, so we got a little bit more of the sun on this crisp December afternoon. So it's going to be great for us, but we'll make sure we talk about it ahead of time tonight.
There's been a lot of talk about the meaning of these bowl games if you're not in the college football playoff or whatnot. I know you've heard that discussion. Given that it is a home bowl game, a lot of these guys, last game that they'll ever play, has there been a need to bring any extra juice, or has that all been intrinsic?
Yeah, I mean, our guys are pretty damn motivated. I've been pleased with their approach to things. Obviously, it's my job to continue to inspire and pull out that as we're serving, as we're getting, ready for this game. But I think our guys have been dialed in. And the biggest thing is we've seen some of these other games where guys, it looks like some of these teams haven't showed up. And, our guys will show up. We've got to have sustained energy, sustained focus. And like I just said earlier, with that, be able to do it throughout the ebbs and flows of the game. But our guys have been great. This is a meaningful bowl game. They also understand, one, the ability to play in the city of Memphis in such a prestigious bowl game. I mean, this is a huge bowl game, national television, and then also the opportunity to go down in history as one of the top 5 winningest teams in program history. Those are huge things that are at stake, and our guys will certainly come out swinging.
And then in terms of building this thing big picture, you made it known that you're happy but not satisfied with how the season is going. If you guys can win this game tomorrow, pick up a 10th win in a game with this much prestige, what kind of momentum do you feel like that can give you guys going into next year?
Yeah, regardless of the outcome of this game, I'm very, very excited about the future of this program. We had the press conference on signing day, and obviously there's tremendous things going on in this future of this program, and quite pleased, obviously, with the current guys we have on this roster. Anytime you have the opportunity to win a bowl game, it obviously leaves a great taste in your mouth heading into 2024. But our guys, the ones that we know are coming back are already excited. Obviously, our focus is on this game ahead, but to be able to get that 10th win and just continue to understand what our standards are for this university and for this program are huge. And I know we'll have higher standards and expectations, like I do every single year for our program. Our goal ultimately is to win the conference championship and figure that out. Right now, the goal in front of us is to win the AutoZone Liberty Bowl. And if that happens, I think we'll continue to head in the right direction with everything that's going on in this program.
In terms of health, what should we expect going into the game tomorrow?
I feel like we're pretty darn healthy. There hadn't been anything of major note that's worth discussing. Davion Ross, he was out with a season-ending injury. Has at least been able to go do some things, but he won't dress for the game. That's a positive note moving forward. Other than that, there's been nothing else of a major note. Feel pretty good. Seth back to 100%, which is huge. And I think anytime you get the full month of, we're still banged at practice, we still get after it, but I think guys are as fresh as they've been since August.
Just in terms of Malachi, you mentioned him earlier. Is that something where he's kind of been impressing you in practice throughout the season, or is that something recently and just our expectation to see him play?
Yeah, I mean, I think just like all those guys, he's done a really nice job all season, and it's hard for a true freshman lineman to play some, but I've got some expectations that he'll have that opportunity tomorrow. We also, feel really confident in Mitch Gildenhouse, who's a guy that we saw fill the void there at some of the offensive line spots, but but Malachi's done a phenomenal job, and I think those offensive linemen, right? They always say they're never a finished product. Even at the age of 27, they're not a finished product. And so he's a guy that's made tremendous leaps every month that he's been a part of this program. And he's done a really nice job.
So other than the generic, they're a great team. Is there anything in particular that is going to keep you up tonight about Iowa State?
A lot. So I don't know how much time we have for this press conference, but let me start with this. Coach Campbell has done a absolutely phenomenal job. I think we look at the landscape of college football, what's occurred over the years, especially the last 4 years. And you talk about really, I don't know, they haven't always had the number of wins that you want year in, year out, but you talk about a program of sustained success. I think people can look at Iowa State. I think everybody throughout the country looks at Matt Campbell and says, man, that's one of the top coaches in all of college football, and what he's been able to do on a consistent basis from his time at Toledo to his time at Iowa State, to winning games and doing it the right way. His defense coordinator, John Haycock, has put together, again, another, I believe, top 25 defense. I mean, year in and year out, this Iowa State defense continues to do a tremendous job. And I remember going back to 2017. Well, guess what? It's pretty much the same defensive staff. I don't know if there's much change at all. I know they got the same linebacker coach, the same defensive coordinator, the same defensive line coach since 2017. And 2017, we had some talent on offense here. I went back and watched that game, and we had some playmakers, and they did a nice job of shutting us out. So that Iowa State defense has just done a tremendous job of consistently holding opponents to what they need to. Then you go back and look at what Iowa State's on offense. You know, they've got a young running back that is running through people. You put on that Kansas State game and that'll keep you up all night. And just watching them line up and say, you know what, we're going to take another Big 12 opponent on the road and we're going to run through them. And then you watch what they did versus BYU. At BYU, we know BYU's tough. And it's always played very good defense. I mean, they ran through BYU and scored, beat them by over 30 points at BYU. So they are a very, very talented team. They've got a lot of good playmakers. They're well coached. We're going to have to bring our A game. You know, someone had mentioned to me, and I don't look at this, but this be the game that we're the biggest underdogs all season. And that's great. We'll have a chip on our shoulder, and our guys are excited to just go out there and play our brand of football versus a very, very good football team at Iowa State.
Kind of leads into my question. Obviously, styles differ conference to conference. Do these guys compare stylistically to anyone who played this year?
You know, I mean, we're going to go through and we can look at statistically. I mean, Mizzou obviously played very sound defense, obviously a different defensive structure. So they play at 3-3-5 was what they base out of a 3 down linemen, 3 linebackers, and that 5 DBs, right? What we call that third safety. And so it's unique. Where they've had talent at a lot of those positions. So I think that's where they've been sound versus the run. They've been able to get turnovers and takeaways. And so, you know, structurally, it's going to look a little bit unique to our fans that are watching, all those that watch on ESPN. It's a little bit different. And so, and then offensively, you know, my guess, I think they're going to try to line up and run the ball at us and take play action shots. And I've said that. And why shouldn't they? And I think they feel like they're probably bigger, faster, and stronger than us, being a Big 12 team that's had success. And so you kind of, we'll wait and see. Obviously, they've been preparing and coaching for a month for this game as well. But they're in all 3 phases. It's as good a team as we played on.